have given up. That's what I get for not reading.
I think I'm just jealous.
It is different.
I went to Japan about 3 months ago, and although I didn't go expressly to go buy some yarn, I knew that I wanted to make a stop at any yarn store just so I can buy some Japanese-made yarn. And I found one on like the last day of my Japan trip in a store in Tokyo. I believe it was called Amimono. I wanted to buy some yarn for a color block sweater that I had my eye on. I was going to try to knit it, so I kind of briefly read the pattern. I bought the colors that kind of resembled the sweater that I was looking at, but was a little bit more my style, like just slightly different. Because I only very briefly read through the pattern, I didn't realize that I needed circular knitting needles and I actually needed multiple. I really didn't feel like spending more money, so I found another pattern on Etsy that I really liked. It was this kind of vintage moss looking sweater that was Tunisian, so I was like, hey, I've done one Tunisian project in the past. Let's try out a sweater now. So I buy the pattern, I'm reading through it, and I'm like, there are 15 different pages and there's a lot of techniques that I don't know, but you know, I get started. It's actually a very well written pattern with a lot of instructions and measurements and guidelines to help you. So that was actually really helpful, but then I realized it's actually a intermediate pattern and I've only done one project at that point, and I was like, oh my god, I am screwed. It was kind of a slow start since I had to relearn how to Tunisian crochet again, but I eventually got into it. So grab your hook and let's backtrack 3 weeks ago to when this all started.
Hi, Jason. What are you doing?
I'm fighting for my life with Tunisian.
I like
Very
it.
soft.
It's nice and soft. You're literally like 1% in on progress, sis. This is called the wiggle technique.
Hi.
Hi guys, this is Jason. Today I'll be teaching you how to knit.
So I reached about the 1/3 point in the ribbing. I think this is about where the pattern switches from like white to a yellow, so that's what I'm going to try to do now. I don't know how you color change in Tunisian crochet, so that's another thing I'm going to have to learn because I'm doing an intermediate Tunisian project as a beginner. It's a great idea, I know. I'm watching a lot of tutorials as I go through this. I'm realizing two things as I'm making this. You see how the ribbing looks kind of almost like slip stitch if you don't look too carefully because it's like so small and thin. I mean, look at my ribbing. I was like, oh, to me, this looks like the correct side. Yes, it's wider, but I kind of like this. I didn't have a problem with it. This is what it looks like on the quote unquote wrong side, which I'm starting to realize I think that was supposed to be the front. I could see the other side working, but for some reason it does work, but not as much as... It's fine. I'm also wondering, I don't know if my hook is slightly too large for this yarn, because she used a fine yarn too. It says it's the Nakyang fine cashmere yarn. I think it uses like a 2.5 hook, and I'm pretty sure mine's supposed to use a size 2.25 to 3mm hook, and I feel like the holes in my stockinette or Tunisian is slightly a little holier than I like. You can kind of see the holes in it. Like if I move it around, you can see the background. You won't see anything if I put it on. I might have to wear a tank top under it. Whatever. It's looking really pretty right now, anyway. I like the yellow, white, and red we have going on in the front. It's actually really, really nice and so weightless, guys. So weightless. I hate how much time fine yarn takes, but I love how it looks. I also don't think I increased the exact same on both sides. You see a little dent over here, but that's fine, that's whatever. When I sew it up, it'll even out. So I just steam blocked my piece and I wanted to compare against the measurements that the pattern had us do in the beginning. It's telling me that I need 22 centimeters between my bottom ribbing and my top ribbing, and I had to get 22 centimeters and I got exactly 22 centimeters. That is shocking. I am never that accurate. I will say my gauge was slightly off. I actually did 2 extra rows compared to what my gauge told me that I had to do. All good. I am so happy I have a steamer that can quickly tell me if my measurements are correct or not. So happy. It makes things so much easier. There she is, 22 centimeters on the dot. So I just put down the stitch markers for the left shoulder, neck, and the right shoulder. Very excited to announce that I have officially started on the second panel, Tunisian rose. And I feel like I definitely got better at making clothes in general, because in another world I would have just made the exact same copy as this, started with the white and with the yellow, except that would end up with the yellow panel on the side. You know, I thought about it and I'm like, wait, I have to make a mirror, not a symmetrical flip. That's the right phrase. But anyways, if this is going to be the back panel, then that means the yellow is on this side, and since this is the front, or this is the right side, the yellow is also matching on the side. Yay, I am using my brain for once. One of the things I'm excited about is I noticed that I'm probably going to have a lot of leftover yarn, and that means I can make a matching scarf or a beanie. Oh, that would be so cute, and such good yarn. Like, it's such good quality. It would feel so nice. Just wanted to pop in really quick. I have two different mohairs because in my mind, most mohair yarn, although they might be different blends, like this one is a slightly cheaper blend of nylon and alpaca, Syria alpaca, and this one is a blend of mohair and silk. As far as the blends go, yeah, the more expensive one feels slightly better, slightly softer, but I assume that the thickness is more or less the same. Like, they both seem really, really thin. I did take a double look at the weight and the yardages. So this one, they are both about 25 grams of yarn, but this one only has 228 yards and this one has 274 yards. Now, that means that this one is ever so slightly either thicker or just more fuzz, and I am pretty sure I used this for the back panel, and I can only pray that this one not gonna make my panel bigger. If it does, I think it's fine because the sweater is more of a fitted top anyway, so if it's slightly baggier, I don't really have an issue with that. I don't think it will actually make my panel bigger per se, just because this one is so thin and the size of the panel is more controlled by the cotton yarn that I'm using as opposed to the mohair. I really hope I have enough for the right shoulder panel because this is the last of one of my balls. I am almost done with my shoulder panel and we are left with this as a second piece to this. It is not completely 100% equal. The yellow does not line up 100%, but that is okay because I am not going to change it, so it has to be okay. If you look here at the lines, the yellow here is slightly farther up than the yellow here, which is not really an issue. Honestly, I would have preferred if the first panel that I did had the yellow extending out just a little bit, just because I think it makes it look a little less divided, but it is what it is. I have never measured my arm width before, but somehow I'm offended. I don't know why it's only 26 centimeters. Somehow that feels really small. And that's definitely because I'm comparing it to the artist whose arm width is 32 centimeters. That is a whole 6 centimeters wider than my arm. And it doesn't look like she doesn't look like super big. I have been going to the gym lately, but obviously it's not doing enough if I don't have a 32 centimeter arm. It is 10 o'clock and I really should be getting ready for bed right now, but I wanted to show you guys how it was coming along so far because it looks so good. It is ending almost exactly where I wanted to, right at my belly button, and this is pre-block, so I think it might add like another centimeter or so once I steam it, but guys, this is so perfect. I will say the ribbing, so where you see like the little indents, I guess, into the ribbing, does not match completely perfectly from front to back, but small details. Who cares? Who cares? It is fitting perfectly. I am shocked and it feels so good. Bare skin, perfect. Slight itch, or not itchy, slight scratchiness, but I did read about a few hacks that I'm hoping to try out later. One being the standard wash, one being put it in a freezer, because I think putting in freezer apparently kills the dead ends of the mohair. We'll see how true that is. But I'm actually taking the measurements right now for the sleeves because that is the last remaining portion. And just to show you really quick, because I feel like a lot of people would make the same mistake that I was about to make when measuring for the sleeve. So if you have your front panels done, your front and back end are sewn together, and now you're measuring how much you want the sleeve, you go from where your panels are right now. So it's not directly under my armpit. It's actually maybe mid bicep. You measure from here to where you want it to end. So for me, it's like slightly past my wrist, and then you essentially have the length of your sleeve. So right now, if I wanted to end right at my wrist, that is just about 39 centimeters, I think. That is right about just past my wrist. I think I have all the information that I need to actually get started on my rows. But considering it is 11:20 and I am seriously trying to get started on my routine, and it is saying that I will end at around 12 o'clock. If I actually do everything that I try to do before I go to sleep, I will get started on my sleeve tomorrow. I think I wanted to finish the project by the Saturday or Sunday, which marks about 3 weeks, I want to say. And I obviously overestimate how fast I can crochet, because I've also have not crocheted that much these past few days because I'm so tired from work, and that is probably not going to change in the next couple of days because, work obligations. I really want to wear it before I have a work potluck on Thursday. It would be so great if I can wear it then, or during my trainings. Imagine someone asked me if I made something. Yes, I did in fact crochet this. We'll see if I get it done. That means I have to finish it by Thursday at least. I have about a week to finish 2 sleeves and seam them together, which the seaming process was actually really, really easy, and do the ribbing. I've been telling myself just one more row for the past hour or so, and it is now 3:30 in the morning. But look at how pretty she is. It does come off a little purple. You guys can tell me if this is purple or blue. I can't really tell. Maybe a indigo? I don't know my in-between colors. But she is coming along. I think I'm going to make this sleeve entirely blue with a little bit of cutoff into the yellow. I have a lot of options in terms of what I want to do with the color blocking.
It'll be red, blue. It'll be red, white. Red, blue, white, yellow. Hmm. Yeah, red, blue, yellow, and then the sleeve is going to be red, blue, and white. Yeah, works. Red, blue, red, white. Sorry.
It is pairing nicely on the arm, like it's not too wide. That's what I was afraid of. I was looking at my sweaters. I was measuring my sweaters and I realized that, they naturally widen the sleeves just because when you're cutting fabric, it's a lot easier. I don't know if you can do the same with crocheted sleeves. I don't know if it looks funny. Right now, there's about this much give, which is really good. Oh my god, I just realized I'm at my elbow too. I'm gonna make it 1/3 yellow and then switch to the white. So right now, 1/3 of 72 is 30, 54-ish. So I'm about halfway there. Oh, nice. Okay, I have a plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day of tours and rock climbing and raving. So I'm gonna have my crochet the entire time. But we'll have a good time tomorrow. Alright guys, we are in the last stretch of the sweater. I am at the second panel. This is how much I have. This is how much I have. This is how much I need. I think I just kind of eyeballing it. I think I need like 40 more rows, 30 to 40. 30 to 40 rows. I literally sat down right after I came from work because I was like, I need to get this done. If each row takes me, let's say 5 minutes. Let's say it took me 5 minutes and I have 40 rows. That's like 2 hours. Just about 4 hours. And then I have to sew everything together. And oh my god, I have to do the neckline ribbing, which I don't think is that much. But that might take me another hour. So I think we might be able to finish. I don't want to jinx it, but we already seamed together the shoulders, and that really didn't take long at all. I do have to sew it on my ends, which I could also just hide it, inside for the time being. We just ripped out 2 rows, and we have a little bundle here, which is not that bad. But I think I got it to a length I like. It's only like 2 rows shorter, so it's really not too much of a difference. But I am going to pretend it makes it better. I need to get started on the blue right here, and I will catch up with you guys hopefully when I finish this. Hopefully, let's gonna be optimistic at 9:30. It's 7:30 right now, so we're gonna switch things up because it's starting to look a little bit like an American flag, and I don't want that. But I am also starving, so we're gonna go eat really quick. I don't know if anyone else does this thing where they tell themselves that they're going to crochet just one more row and then they end up not eating. So instead I starved myself for the past like hour maybe. I don't know if anyone can tell me that the rotisserie chicken is not the fastest way to meal prep. My secret ingredient are these 2 eggs that I bought on a whim at a Chinese supermarket, and they are salty and delicious. Less than 10 minutes later, dinner. Back to it. And like I said before, this is looking a little too like an American flag. So I thought about putting the yellow. I think it looks a little too pale, so I want to try putting the red. I think it would go really, really nice with the blue. And this is the first time I'm actually using the white mohair yarn to kind of combine with the red instead of red mohair with red. This looks a lot like Christmas. It looks so cute. It's like a little candy cane. I take it back. I don't know much about combining solid colors and mohair. I think someone once said it kind of looks like watercolor, combining watercolor colors, and I thought white and red would make it look a little more pink, but it just looks like a candy cane. So I'm gonna go back to the red mohair that I used on the cuff so it looks red and not like Where's Waldo. Alright guys, I have been falling asleep in my chair for the past 30 minutes. I am about to knock out. Not to mention, I tried to wake up at 5 to go to the gym in the mornings. I did make really, really good progress. I think I only have about 10 more rows. And it is looking pretty good. Not like a flag. Kind of reminds me of a candy that I can't remember the name of right now, but it is really pretty. I think I'm at like row 62, and I think I need like 72 or somewhere around there. I will not wear it tomorrow, but I'll finish it tomorrow. Not willing to stay up until 2 a.m. just to finish this thing. It's okay. I'll catch you tomorrow. The only thing I've done this morning is make a mistake. I was about to show you guys that I reached 69 rows. And then I was counting my rows for my other one because I thought like, oh, I think I have like 72 rows I need to reach. And then I counted, and I think this might be like the 5th time I counted this thing because I can't remember how much I was at. 2, 3, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24,
3, 4, 5. Oh my god. I could have been done 4 rows ago. Ripping mohair yarn is probably a nightmare in most cases, and this one included, because of all the hairs on the yarn, which just weaves itself into like the entire project. But my secret tool, this tiny, I think it's a sewing pair of scissors. This could feel really scary when you feel like you might cut the yarn itself and break the strands. but it is catching a lot, and right now I'm at a point where I can't really pull it anymore. What I do is I kind of just look at the yarn, see what is kind of holding it in place, and then I go in with my only pair of super accurate scissors and try to find the hair. Oh, I cut something. I don't know what I cut. Oh, there's more hair. See? So right now this, oh, and it released itself. Fudge cakes. I ripped my yarn before I ripped my mohair. I'm just gonna toss the last row and a half of yarn that I'm ripping out into my scrap yarn. Wow, I can't read. I feel like no matter how many times you read a pattern, you discover something new about it every single time you go through it again. I just learned that I'm supposed to bind off my rows instead of just leave, I guess, a open Tunisian row of a Tunisian row? I don't know. Actually make it a single crochet. So I think it's because it makes seaming easier. So excuse me while I do that for all of my panels now. I lied because I already seamed together my shoulder panels even though they didn't have a bind off row. I think it looks pretty good still. I don't know what the seam looks like when you actually binded it off correctly. Maybe I should unseam this. I think I'm gonna unseam this. This bothers me a little bit because I kind of just used a needle and went through them together, which I know you're supposed to do, but with the single crochet row is not that, and that's kind of looking too wide for comfort. Oh my god. Oh well. That's what I get for not reading. I really am not a fan of wasting yarn when I can help it, but this ball is a little mangled than I can handle, but I managed to wrestle about this much of yellow and white blend together so I can do the bind off row for this shoulder panel. I kind of won Yarn Chicken even though I piecemealed my last strands once or twice. But I'm left off with this much, which is perfect. So I have finally binded off this row. I made a Tunisian project before, and I don't remember if I binded off that one either. I guess I must have. I followed a video tutorial. That you don't have to read anything. But I have binded off one sleeve and my second sleeve. You know, I redid the seam and I don't remember what it looked like before. Right now I'm looking at this and I tried it on and I'm like, oh, it kind of looks like a seam. It's fine, you know, it looks like a seam. Seams look like seams. Now I'm just gonna redo it because it is kind of annoying me. It really doesn't look that bad when you wear it, but I do want it to be less. I'm back and it is still obvious. I'm realizing what the issue is that the last return pass of Tunisian rows, they kind of leave a chain per se. I think this is the best I'm going to get, but I am pretty happy with it. I think it looks really neat and we're just going to go from here. So this is using the mattress stitch and then this is using the other one that I don't know the name of. I guess the seam on the new one, I guess I like mine a little more instead of the mattress one, but there's really not much difference. It's fine. I'll have two different shoulders. They look similar enough anyway. I don't think you can really see a difference even when you look close enough. It's a seam. It's fine. I have just counted 28 rows on both sides, or 28 stitches on both sides, so these are actually even on both sides of the panel. So now I can seam up this side, and then I'm going to fold it up in half so I can seam this side of the body and then the sleeves together. So I'm not done yet, but I wanted to show you guys something because I am shocked. I know I have the seam somewhere in here. You can barely tell. I used the red thread to seam it just because that's, you know, I still have this much left of it, to be honest. I cut way too long of a tail. You can barely tell there's a seam here. You can't even tell. I don't know what the seam stitch is called, but it is beautiful. This also really looks like the candy, and I don't know what it's called, but it's the Icy Pops. It's those Icy Pops. They didn't have a lot of flavor, but they're pretty good. They're sweet. I didn't line it up 1000% on the red side, so I think you can tell there's like a slight jump in the red, maybe? It's so tiny though. Prime example of needing to seam correctly and, I don't know, putting your threads away, because I tried it on and I found it like this. It's not a big deal. I can fix it, but this is the first time a seam has come undone on me. It's not too bad. I think it's because when I joined the yarn, it probably wasn't secure enough, so I'm gonna have to undo a few more and then rejoin it. Yikes. I'm like 95% done. This is the pre-block piece. I just want to show you guys what it looks like before it gets hopefully longer, looser, flowier. I actually did manage to get the sleeves the correct length, which is shocking. I calculated 72 rows, 72, 75, whatever it was, and then I measured it. When I got to like the 65-ish mark, I measured against my arm and I was like, oh, I think I'm there. So I stopped a little bit earlier, and that was a really good choice. Hopefully, when I block it, it doesn't become too long. I'm starting to think wet block is the way to go, but I'm also really lazy, and steam blocking gets me 99% of the way there, so good enough. I will say I think the red is making me feel a little bit like a clown, but the fit in general is kind of working. The actual sweater itself is a little shorter than I'd like ideally, so hopefully steaming will fix that. But also if it doesn't, I have nice high-waisted pants that will cover everything else. Oh, wow. Steaming actually did what I wanted it to this time. It reaches my midriff, like maybe half a centimeter up my tummy. It actually meets the seam of my pants perfectly. Wow! I think this is the first time I blocked something and it actually got to the dimension that I pretty much wanted it at. The sleeves are a little past where I measured them to be, but I actually don't mind sleeves being anywhere from like anywhere from between my palm to like my wrist. So the fact that it reaches my palm is perfectly fine. I think another good part about this is that it's reversible, so if I want the yellow on the other side for whatever reason, or I'm starting to feel like this red part kind of looks like a band, kind of like the Japanese school event leader tags or whatever. Kind of starting to feel like that, but if I want that on my left arm, I can totally do that. But yeah, that is a wrap on the sweater. It is pretty much exactly what I wanted to be, and I think after all these colors, I'm actually ready to go back to basic beiges and browns and greens and earthy tones, just because I'm starting to feel a little too colorful. Glad we have this to add to our wardrobe. I think I might actually wear this out tomorrow, which is a first because I've never worn anything out. Yeah, happy crocheting. Bye!